Good evening, brothers and sisters. Welcome. 11th anniversary of the Million Man March.
Yeah.
Brothers and sisters, it's so great to see all of you out there today. We have a slight modification to our program this evening. The co-convener of the Million Man March for Baltimore back in 1995, one of them was Reverend Dr. John L. Wright. Dr. Wright was at the inspirational sunrise service this morning, but he's in the hospital this evening. So I want y'all to send out those prayers and all that good African spirit out for this brother. He's going to call us tomorrow to let us know what the results are. But we are an African people. We have in our midst another dynamic brother who's been with us from the beginning here in Baltimore. A brother who went to Africa and changed his name. A minister par excellence, a universal minister from all over this part of the world. He was a former city council person. He was a political science instructor. And he's our own Reverend Dr. Kwabe Abiyomi.
It's good to be here because here we are reminded in virtual and visual reality of what our beginnings were in this nation. If you haven't toured the sites of the slave ships and the sardine-like style of packing our people, that was the system of the slave owner and trader. Take a look, because it is from the bottom of the ships of hell that we have risen to the places and the positions of whatever circumstance our situation may find us, but we are here. As Langston Hughes would say, we are still here in spite of dungeon, fire, and sword. It's good to be here. It's good to have you here. Let us pray. Gracious God, tonight we come mindful of the blessings of life, mindful of the reality that we have come this far, not by fact or by might, but by faith. We have walked these roads of life in this place, in this barren land, only because the guiding presence and power of the Prince of Peace was with us. We give you thanks, God, for the way, though it has been watered with tears, that our journey has brought us. We thank you for the deliverance along the way that you've provided. You've delivered us, God, from first seen and unknown dangers. Oh, our ancestors rejoiced because you were the guiding lights of the midnight train. You were the North Star for the slave runner's journey. You were, oh God, their wind at their back and their hope in a desperate land. You have led them and kept them, and we pray, God, you will continue to do so for us. Oh, bless this assembly tonight. Bless John Lewis Wright in his absence. Oh God, we know not what may be complicating his health, but we know that you're a healer, God, and we pray your presence with him. Oh God, tonight as we reflect on where the journey has brought us as a people, help us to remind one another that we are nothing and no one unless all of us succeed. It cannot be that I succeed and my neighbor fails. I am a part of he and she is a part of me, and therefore everything that you bless me with, oh God, we pray that we will share it tonight. You will continue to pick our children up, oh God, from this system of education that fails them daily. You will continue to pick our people up, oh God, from the vicissitudes that confront them daily. And you will continue to be our God. By whatever name we call you, God, in whatever language we speak to you, continue to hold us as the apple of your eye. We know we're a special people. We could never be otherwise, for we have been through the living hell of this oppression called the United Snakes of America. We thank you, God, that even in this wilderness, you've brought us through Red Seas and Pharaoh's army. You've brought us through our own desolate deserts, God, where we only had manna from you to feed us. And now tonight, God, as we reflect, oh God, let us reflect forward the hope that is in the eyes and in the hearts of all of us tonight. For God, we know that this lot of ours, where our people are struggling at the bottom of the well, is not our favorite condition. We are kings and queens and prince and princesses and emperors and empresses. God, we are a people who built nations, who built some of the 7 wonders of the world. We are a people of God who tracked the stars and were sailing the oceans before other civilizations came out of the cave. We are a special people, God. Continue to hold us as special people and keep us as the apple of thine eye. This is your servant's prayer. We pray it in the name of Jesus and in the nature of Jesus the Christ. Come on, say it with me. Ashe. Which means thank you in Swahili. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Which means give God the highest praise in Hebrew, and amen. Amen. Which is the name of the king of the 4th dynasty of Egypt. And by his name we swear, so be it. So be it. Ashe.
We've been informed that our minister is ill. He's fighting a battle, a deep battle. When he was operated on several years ago, they cured the cancer. But the curing of the cancer through the chemicals they were using caused some infections that still belabor our dear brother. And so he's in a struggle now. In fact, on yesterday, when we were invited to be with the Nation of Islam as they celebrated the 11th anniversary commemorating the Million Man March and the Millions More movement, they indicated that a major spokesman for the organization now would be Brother Ishmael Muhammad, the son of Elijah Muhammad, and that there would be a council of people that would run the Nation of Islam until our good brother returns to health. So please, if you can, let's have a moment of silence for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Amen. Amen. We, as African people, have a very, very, very special relationship with our ancestors. They are the focus of deep, deep respect. And on occasions like this, we take an opportunity to invite them in, to be with us, to strengthen us, to empower us to do what we will. We pour a libation to them, which many of you know means a way that we take a liquid, whether it be water or wine, and we pour it into the soil in a special pattern as we pay homage to our ancestors. On occasion, we have to improvise. Now, we don't have a plant here tonight, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to pour the water into a container now, and then take it and then pour it on the soil outside. Let's do a libation for our ancestors.
Everybody has to stand in the step of the ancestors and sit down.
On our ancestors, far and near, fathers of our fathers, mothers of our mothers, bear witness to what we have done. And by their example, continue to inspire us to reclaim our African minds, regenerate our African spirits, liberate our homeland, and reclaim our greatness as a people. We want to call into our midst their venerable African spirit, radiating their great wisdom, courage, dedication, and unyielding commitment to victory by any means necessary. It is in the honor of our ancestors, our Creator, our children, and their children, that we pour this libation. To our Creator and the various manifestations of the creative spirit, we pour this libation. Ashe. For our esteemed ancestors who laid the foundation for human civilization and who provide the wisdom by which we live and the models by which our lives are guided, we pour libation. Ashe. To our esteemed ancestors who suffered the atrocities and horrors of our Ma'afa, and yet demonstrated the victorious power of the African spirit against adversity by maintaining their dignity no matter the cost. We pour libation. Ashe. For those ancestors who survived and made it possible for us to be here today to continue their struggle for liberation and vindication of our African people. Call out those names now. Marcus Garvey. Ashe. 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 And for our children, and their children, and the future generation of African people to come, that they too, in their time, will continue this valiant struggle for our liberation and our vindication. Ashe? Ashe? Sister Eartha Harris, from the beginning of our organizing for the Million Man March 11 years ago, has been steady on the case. 1 year after the march, when many of us made a commitment in heart and in mind, Sister Eartha stayed on the case physically by keeping this local organizing committee together. She had the first sermonized service 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, all of it, 11 years after the meeting.
Okay, I'm going to be short and sweet. That's why I got on y'all here, because I'm not a very good speaker, even though some people say I am when I speak one-on-one. But it's very hard for me sometimes to speak out in a mass crowd like this. But that's why I got involved in the LOC. Because again, I want to be one of those people to kind of get over my fears and get over some obstacles and be able to make that difference. So I'm getting better as time is going on. But one of the things that I would like to do is give people the history of the LOC. See, the history did not begin at the Million Man March. It began with the struggle, again, of black folks. And here in Baltimore, if you look before 95, there were a lot of people in Baltimore doing a lot of things. Everybody was out trying to find the key ingredient that could uplift our people. Whether it was rallies, rides, getting great education, all sorts of activities, we just kept on pushing and pushing and pushing. And then I met Mr. Benjamin Chambers. He was at the NAACP. He was doing this event called Nails. And what he did is he looked not only in Baltimore, but around this country for what he called leaders. Men and women who were doing extraordinary things that could lead black people into solutions and opportunities. So I started to get involved with that organization. But as some of you may know, things happened to Ben Chavez and he was kind of kicked out of the NAACP. But when he was kicked out of the NAACP, Minister Farrakhan was also one of the invited guests continually that he would have at these meetings when we did these leadership summits. And Minister Farrakhan, again, wanted people to understand that sometimes in a point of life, people have to bear witness to great people. Not just because we say they're great, because them themselves are so close to greatness that they try to be a vessel and a voice for that. So those of us who had known Minister Farrakhan and had worked with him in that aspect also believed when he came and told us that he had this vision. So when I came back to Baltimore, again, there was a lot of groups, especially people like Bill Gooden and Eric Easton, and we would do things like close down Korean stores that were selling bad meat to our people because they knew that we would sleep as a people in our community. Me and Bill even formulated an organization at Park Heights, and we had a meeting with the Koreans because we said, you're taking 100% of our money and not putting one dime back into the community. You don't live here, none of your children go to school here, nothing. But the sad part, they kind of looked at us like, yeah, and you allow us to take it too, because it ain't like, how much you want us to give back? Because we'll offer jobs to you and other avenues. But they knew that it wasn't so much of their fault and what they was doing that was causing the plight of black people to be in the situation. They knew that what happened to us was that we were damaged. And again, that's why we're here at the Great Blacks in Wax. Historically, if you looked at what happened to you as a people, we're damaged. And we did not understand how to repair that damage. So again, we went on and continued to struggle. So when the organization of the LOC came together under the leadership of John Wright, Minister Carlos Muhammad, and Lisa Mitchell, right then and there was a beautiful experience. We met every Tuesday at 940 Madison. Bigger crowd than this. We would separate into our little committees and organize for the Million Man March. I mean, all across this country, they was negative. They said it wasn't going to happen. But we came and we was in great spirit. We knew it was going to happen. Made them go on vacation. We just knew it was going to happen. So we organized. But with that organizing effort, we also got an opportunity to get to know each other. We also got an opportunity to see how a group of people that have diverse interests, religions, all sorts of beliefs can sit down and actually come together and work together on one particular thing. So we were very successful, to those who you know about the history of the Million Man March locally here in Baltimore City. We brought the most men in the country to the march. And one of the things, again, that we do as a historical point to bring that home, as Lou said, we meet every October the 16th at Drew Hill Park for a sunrise prayer. Because the men of the march came back to Baltimore and said, hey, the most powerful experience I had was that when I went over so early, because remember, this was so great, nobody wanted to miss not one moment. So they got over there way before October 16th. They was on buses, train, trying to get over there before it started. But as people know, when that darkness becomes light, when that sun rises, it's just a whole new experience. So most of the men here said, long live that spirit, that one moment, that spirit that I felt. And we chant every year, long live the spirit of the Million Man March. Because why? We knew that it was going to be a challenge. All the things that the minister laid out for us, we knew it was going to be a challenge. But we knew that those of us who understood that it was going to be the spirit, it was going to always be the spirit that would continue the movement, that would continue the movement. So we came back to Baltimore. Again, it was about as big as this, and we tried to organize. But they made it so clear to me last night when I was hearing the speech. They said, but then we forgot that the devil exists. And as we came back and we sat down and we tried to organize, something always came in the mix and just was tearing us apart, tearing us apart, and tearing us apart. So when we got to the point, as they said, that it became me as the leader, or as they said, the chair, or whatever you want to label me as the leader of this organization, the brother Tebow, who was put in place to try to help us move forward the organization, understood that you cannot move forward if you don't have the right things in place. He needed to go and take care of his family. And at that particular time, the Million Man March did not have an economic component. So we didn't have money to pay somebody to be in that position to keep on going, to keep on going. Now you say, then why I was in that position, like maybe I had a lot of money? No, but again, some people have better opportunities and not in that kind of situation that they can do that. But also, when I looked around at the LOC, there was not just me. So even when we tell the story, it's not me for the 11 years that has been holding this organization together. I have plenty of LOC members here tonight that has been there since 95, that continue to be there since 95, that we constantly stay on course. We have not only organized the Million Man March, we came and supported the Millions Women's March, we helped organize the Millions Family March, we helped organize Millions for Reparations. Then again, we came back and organized the Millions More movement. That's where the key ingredient, if you understand the words, it says millions more. So what we said is that if we would do more of what we already know that works for the people of African descent, meaning that millions of our ancestors had already done what we're trying to do, go through the struggle, die, sacrifice. People have done this over and over again. So what we understood when we went back and tried to determine what the 10th year anniversary was going to look like, because you know everybody was in the meeting was, oh, they're going to try to do it again. They're going to call them in, so they was all getting prepared. Meanwhile, the minister sat there, and I was blessed to be one of the people invited to the meeting. And as we went around the table and he tried to get some opinions from us, what would that 10th anniversary look like? As he heard everybody's story, he was just so excited. He said, well, gosh, you know, won't y'all just go do what y'all doing? Everybody got all these great things happening. Again, it's called the LOC, meaning your local organizing committees. So he got reports from all different cities of what everybody was doing. So he knew that he did not have to reinvent the Million Man March. He said, you know what, your local organizing committee people, y'all need to just go on back there and do what y'all doing and just do more of that. And just keep on going. So that's how we got to the 10th anniversary. Then when I got here to Baltimore, I said, well, maybe I'll try to do a little bit more myself. So this year, one of the things that the LOC has been able to strengthen itself is, again, to be able to unify with a lot of organizations that we had met during the Million Man March and come together with them and utilize their resources and combine with our resources to help, again, present a better picture to the masses of the people here in Baltimore. And then what I did is, because I knew that we did not really understand the political piece, I myself ran twice. And as people said, I lost twice, but I didn't ever lose, because if again, like you said, you have to be able to get involved in the process. You know what I'm saying? And you have to understand the psyche that people put on your mindsets, because they want you to think you're a loser. You know, I figure, okay, I'll get in the process because I don't understand the process of politics. You see what I'm saying? But I'm in my community, and I look down there, and this brother is standing up saying he represent me. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, hold up, you don't represent me. Let me go down there and show you and then I got a chance at least to express myself, even though, like you said, the masses of the people did not vote for me. And what was so sad and so tricky about the masses of the people, at that particular time, some people actually endorsed me. And they actually put it in writing. They said, oh, you got Sister Eartha. She's helping people buy houses. She helped people open up businesses. And they put this in writing. You know why? Because they believe the philosophy that we don't read. So they said we'll put it in and show the white people what she's doing so they can keep an eye on her. But the black people, they come knocking at my door every day. Oh, Sister Eartha, this, and this. And I was like, gosh, they don't have nothing to do with politics. I just told you I can help you get a house. I can help you get a better job. I can help you do all these things. Why? Because I know people. I know people that provide these resources every day. But again, the political process was so crazy, but I didn't give up. So what I did is I said, Lou, here is the agenda of the Million Man March. And in the agenda of the Million Man March, it had a political piece that said, I tell you what, if you really want to be involved, you need to buy a politician. You need to make a politician say to you, I'm willing to adhere to your agenda. Not to their agenda, but to your agenda. And so what we did, we came back and we met a couple of politicians, including myself, and we said, hey, anybody want to? And only two people that stepped up was me and Andre Bunley. And again, that's not no surprise to us, but we just wanted to see how the process worked. You see what I'm saying? Because you got to understand how you got to where you at. Especially over here in Baltimore City. Time and time again, I heard so many people say that if we can crack Baltimore City, you know, then we can use this model all around the world. Right? They keep saying this. So I figure if that's the truth, then we need to be a part of that. Because we're going to be a part of when it cracks and when it goes, wherever it's going to go, I want to be a part of that. Yeah. So what I wanted to do was move the LOC in that direction. And then, like I said, because I think I'm getting better at the process, I made sure that I held key component people that I knew that I, you know, again, I get my research from. So that's where brothers like Brother Lyle come in. See, I don't have to do all the talking, because I can just say, hold up, I'll call communication to Brother Lyle. Because, see, a lot of people know that you don't know. And what we have to do as a people, we have to understand if we don't know, that we do have resources that do know. That we can go to those resources and say, hey, I might can't out-thank this person and out-talk that person, so I want you to do it for me because I understand that Brother Lyle even knows better the minister's vision, him and Carlos Muhammad, him and Faraji Muhammad. I understand the passion of what the minister was saying. I do understand the work that he's asking me to do and all of us to do. So I continue that work. But when I get into the struggle of people wanting to dialogue about the minister, I call them my experts. And that's what makes me stronger. And then when I turn to Brother Lou Andrews, who I met at the national level. Brother Andrews, he came to the local organizing committee and willing to offer us all his assistance and all of his help. Then he was part of the most powerful institution that I think here in Baltimore is Sir Jonah Douglas. It offers the resources that a lot of us need to continue to define the solutions and opportunities that we need in our community. Then with that, I just, go around and I keep getting all my key people. That's why they're here. And I twist their arm and make them come. So they come, so they're here. And then again, that's what's making the LOC strong. But what I would like the community to understand, the LOC is for all of us. It deals with us locally organizing on issues that affect us here. So you can be a part of that movement and you can still have your organizations, be involved in your churches and your mosques or whatever. But when you want to come together as a collective, as a diverse body of people, then come join the LOC. And I think our membership is real cheap. It's like $7 a year, because the LOC knows that it doesn't need a lot of resources. What we really need is more people willing to work on the issues and the solutions. So we want to keep the LOC intact. It is intact. But out of that, we do have two components. Because when we was trying to organize, we found that two things were constantly breaking us down. You do have people that have great information about how to create economic wealth. Then you have another group of people that understand the social concerns of our community. So we do have a nonprofit organization, which is called Projects Millions More, and then we have a profit organization, which is called Millions More Movement. So I definitely would thank all of you for coming. Like you said, if you need any more information about the LOC and what we're doing and what we continually do, please don't hesitate to just ask me. But I put this charge on everybody that you should never, ever have to ask me. On October the 16th, it is your responsibility to commemorate that historical day. It is not for you to call and try to figure out, hey, Sister Eartha, when is it? It's the same time every year, October 16th. October 16th. And long live the spirit of the Million Man March. Thank you.
Brothers and sisters, you need to get a copy of this week's final call. And go to page 15. 15, there was an interview about the final call of our dear sister Eartha Harris. And I'm sure you'll enjoy the reading. She's just as fiery as she always is, even in the final call. So get your copy of the final call. I'm sure the brothers around here have several copies of that.
Yes, sir.
All in the spirit of the Million Man March. It's so nice to have all of you here. We have, in our African race, we also have a deep respect for our elders. And one of them sitting right on the podium here is Baba Zera Cody. Baba Zera Cody had a vision of us having an African village. So he just did it. And so I'm sure the Baba will tell you about it. Sometimes you get a chance. He's going to be closing our program out in his own special way. Very talented, very beautiful elder, Baba Zera Cody. Dr. Raymond Winbush has always worked very hard with us since he's been in the area. In fact, Dr. Winbush told us, please don't have me to come up and say anything. I'd like to come to a program from time to time and just sit down. Dr. Winbush is the author of the book, Should America Pay? Reparations for African Americans. He may have sneaked out, but he was here. We have with us also, and I'll get to that in just a minute, is Dr. Andre Bundy. Dr. Andre Bundy is sitting right on the stage here, brothers and sisters, because we want you to see this, brother. It's a key component of our strategy to put what the minister asked us to do, systems in place to deal with the conditions affecting our people. And we're going to do just that. But I'm going to have him to come up in just a minute. But in the organizing effort after the Million Man March, Sister Eartha and I, Sister Ali Bakari is one of our leaders in the movement after the Million Man March, the Million More movement. Sister Leslie Tucker, who's not here with us today. Many other individuals, Sister Phyllis Morgan, many other individuals sit back and figure out what was it that we were going to do to put these systems in place that the minister asked us to do. We wanted a political component. And we worked on it, as Sister Eartha said, and we identified the man of the hour for that particular activity. We wanted an economic component. So we put together an organization, a for-profit organization called Millions More Movement Baltimore Incorporated. We wanted a social structure to deal with all of the conditions from our health, our environment, from our social interaction, from our male and female relationships, from our savings and investing. And all of those things we wanted to attack. So we put together Project Millions More Movement Baltimore. We wanted to have a political structure to even deal with larger things outside. So we put together a PAC, Project Millions More Movement Political Action Committee. All of these things require work from all of us. The structures are in place, but as Minister Brother Ishmael Muhammad said yesterday, in his eloquent address to us on behalf of Minister Louis Farrakhan, he said that what has happened to us as a race, We have a whole lot of organizations. But what we don't have is a movement. A movement toward an achievable goal. Movement toward an achievable goal means solving some of these problems that affect our people. Setting as a goal full employment. Employment for everybody in Baltimore who wants to work. Does that make sense? Does it make sense for us to sit back and let people poison our children with lead just because they want to have somewhere to live? Does that make sense? Does it make sense for us to sit back and let policemen come in and beat our citizens to death and do nothing about it? We need a movement. You see, organizations, one organization pit against another organization won't give a concentrated movement toward that objective. Therefore, we need all of you to think about working in that vein. There are many other people here tonight. I'm going to let Sister Eartha come up and introduce some of them, but first I'd just like to say, in terms of our political component, everything is politics. That's right. And all politics is local. That's the analysis we made in our thinking when we approached Dr. Andre Buntley. And I want him to come up and say a few words to us because it's so important. We have a city that's 70% black. 70%. And we control absolutely nothing.
Come on. Say it again.
Zilch. We have to go with our hat in hand. We have to sit like we are minority. In fact, they call us a majority minority. What a silly statement. But there's nothing we do about it. So we want to take over the political system in this city. What Sister Eartha said is that if we do that here, there are 10 other cities added to ours where 70% of our population is located. We believe we have a man can do that here in Baltimore. So I want him to come up and say a few words to us, and then we're going to get back to our program. Dr. Andre Buntley, Mayor of Baltimore 2007.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. First of all, I'd like to thank the local organizing committee for acknowledging me and giving me an opportunity to come up and share. I decided 12 months ago, I met with Lou Andrews and Eartha Harris and other members of the committee, Brother Ali, and I decided, because I was on the mall with many of you, and I decided after coming back to Baltimore that I would be willing to make the sacrifice to be the candidate for mayor that the people could buy. Now I want to be clear. I'm not a sellout.
That's right. That's
and
right.
I'm not weak.
That's right. Come on now.
But if you're going to sell out,
That's right.
sell out for right's sake.
Come on.
Sell out for the people's sake.
Yes, sir.
And so what I did was remind myself that when everybody else in 2003 thought I was crazy to step out of my comfort zone as principal, having been the principal to call, when anything happened regarding education, I was the principal to call. But I decided to step out of that comfort zone.
Come on now.
And decide to run for mayor against a person who all of the people in Baltimore had backed. But they had backed not the plan, but they had backed the man and the personality. And so I decided, and they said, well, we don't have to worry about Andre Buntley. He's going to get 2% of the vote. He only has 80% name recognition, and so we don't have to worry about him. But through all of the naysayers, through all of the particularly black politicians to whom I had gone to ask for their support. And they would ask me a question like, well, what's wrong with Martin O'Malley? Martin O'Malley hasn't done anything wrong. So after having had 5 of those meetings, I decided that I wasn't meeting with any of those people anymore. And then they said, well, Dr. Bunley, you're going to have a major problem because you're not going to get any endorsements. And I said, well, we're going to have to recreate the kind of endorsements that we're going to get. We're going to have to get the hip-hop generation for Dr. Bunley. We're going to have to get people of interest for Dr. Bunley. And we're going to have to reinvent and recreate this process. But through all of that, through all of the people who discouraged and having a strong few who encouraged, with no money, we got 32% of the vote. The mayor spent $2.5 million. And so he was upset because he knew he wanted to be president of the United States by way of governor. Yes. So he had spent this money on, as they thought, poor little old me. But they weren't satisfied with that. They said, well, since I realized that I'm the mayor and he's the principal down there, let me send my people up there and let me fire him. So they attempted to fire me. As a matter of fact, they had me gone for a minute. Just for a minute. But they made a mistake. They went to sleep. And when they went to sleep, I was working. And we turned that thing around with the people of the city. But this gets me to my point. We didn't turn that around because I did anything by myself. I had to look up and I had to see Sister Eartha, and I was encouraged. I had to look up and I had to see Sundiata and Jabari, and I was encouraged. I had to look up every day. I know 2 times or 3 times a week that Darren Muhammad was sitting at my table saying, Andre, it's going to be all right. I was encouraged. So what I'm saying to you is that we have a problem in Baltimore because for so long we've been discouraged. And I'm thinking that when we just look at just the sheer numbers of people who want to do right, if we would just come together and stop being petty, we'd be there. Now they would say, well, Andre, what gives you the right to be mayor? Well, that's a good question. But the question is, if you wanted to be mayor, let me just tell you what the qualifications are. And I want all of you to know that you have them. To be mayor, all you have to do is be 25 years old. To be mayor, all you have to do is be a United States citizen. To be mayor, all you have to do is be a resident of Baltimore for at least 1 year before the election. And then there's another one that escapes me. Oh, you have to be of good reputation. Right? And then so those are the qualifications. So if you ask me why I want to be mayor, if you fit those qualifications, then why don't you run? Because you can be mayor too. But if you haven't decided to run, I'm here. Now I want to know if you have some heart to come with me. This election is not about personality. It's about a plan. We can't look at a particular man or woman. We have to have a plan. And so now they're coming to me and they saying, well, Dr. Bunley isn't a team player. I said, well, why would you say that? Because he's not, he's going to help split the vote again. Well, I'm saying, wait a minute. Split the vote again? It was just Martin, and they tried to divide it by race. But I said, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense to me. Because I was running against Martin O'Malley when nobody else did, and you sided with him. So you split the vote. I didn't split the vote. And so there will be no compromise. I'm not seeking any more consensus. I am molding consensus with those who share the spirit that I have. So here is the vision. Whoever becomes mayor of this city has to have a vision. But whoever becomes mayor of this city and has a vision has to have a comprehensive plan. And when I say a comprehensive plan, I'm talking about a plan for everybody. I'm talking about one Baltimore. I'm talking about everybody included, people from the streets of Baltimore to the business suites of Baltimore. Because if we don't include everybody, then we're going to exclude somebody. And the very people that we exclude, we're going to see them again. And so what I'm talking about, as Lou Andrew said, full employment. 100% of the people, regardless of your station in life, If you want to work or be an entrepreneur in this city with Andre Bunley and the rest of us as mayor, you will get a chance in this city. Now, I want to say this and I'm going to shut down. I want you to understand that everybody in this city, regardless of the station in life, can work in this city. Let me just give you a few stats so you can understand. There are approximately 640,000 people who live in this city. 80,000 of them are students. Then out of that 80,000, you have 560,000 left. 110,000 of them are senior citizens above the age 55. Then you have 449,000 thereabout left. All right, of that 449,000, only half of those individuals work. The other 200,000 people in this city don't work. But I laid out a grid and I'm saying, well, we got to find jobs for the people. That's right. And guess what I found out? When you look at the city and then you look at the regions, the jobs are here. You say, well, if the jobs are here, what is the problem? We have a preparation problem in this city. We have a mindset problem in this city. And we have an economic access problem in this city. In other words, people who find themselves in certain conditions don't want to do much to change their condition. Let me give you an example. If in fact you are a part of the ex-offender population and you have served your time, don't let this system make you serve your time twice. How can you get 10 years in prison and do all of it and then come home and want to work and they won't let you work? But if you sit back and just talk about, I just can't work because they won't let me work, then you got a problem. You follow what I'm saying? If in fact you are an individual who has dropped out of school and dropped into the wrong situation and now ready to drop back in school, then we want to give you a chance. So let me say this and shut down. My brother, who is in recovery process, came through I Can't, We Can, and he went up to Philadelphia because somewhere in the mindset they say, well, Philly is a place where it matches the people's spirit and they get clean. And really, in my mind, it doesn't matter where you get clean, just get clean. Right? But Philly is known for that. Baltimore City will be known as the capital of the world that gives people a second chance. That's what we want Baltimore to be. We're going to be the best at workforce development and education than any place in the world. Yes, sir. Now, I'm telling you this. Let me just say this. When people in Baltimore work, the city budget expands. Right. When people in Baltimore work, taxes are reduced, be it property, water, or fees. Baltimore is known, it makes its money from property taxes and fines and fees. When people in Baltimore work, crime is reduced. That's right. That's right. When people in Baltimore work, recidivism is reduced. That's right. So no longer should you allow anybody to come to you that doesn't have a comprehensive plan. Don't talk to me about education and not talk about jobs. Right. Don't talk to me about housing and don't talk about education and jobs. Don't talk to me about education, housing, and jobs if you don't talk about transportation. It's a comprehensive plan. We got to be comprehensive. So anybody that brings you a plan that says that I am going to reduce crime, and you got to listen. Because you can't reduce crime without bringing jobs. You can't reduce crime without having housing. And you can't allow people to do business in this city without doing business with the people of this city. Because remember this. Whatever it is that you do not grow, you are going to have to import it. So if you want tomatoes and you don't grow tomatoes, you're going to have to import tomatoes. If you want electricians and you don't grow your electrician, you're going to have to import your electrician. If you want plumbers and you don't grow and train your plumbers, you're going to have to import your plumbers. So I want you to understand, you see a big anything being built in here. You better go to that website and then say, how many Do you live in Baltimore City? You live in Baltimore City? You live in Baltimore City? And if the answer is no, they're important. Everything you see and everybody you see. That's how you have to begin to see. And when something is destructive, we should get a job. When something is constructive, we should get a job. When we have an amen who's got a company that we're going to expand, his magazine should be as big as Ebony magazine, and this should be the home base right here. But y'all don't believe that. So they caught up in me talking about who is Andre Bunner, thinking he's going to run for mayor. But I'm going to tell you, I'm making the sacrifice for the last time.
That's right.
Y'all better elect me this time. Y'all better elect me this time. I don't want to hear nothing about, I like Mr. Nfume. I don't want to hear nothing about Mr. Nfume. I don't want to hear nothing about all those people. Because you can't hear them now because you didn't hear them later. You've heard me for the last 15 years. I've been working with your children. I'm that little black man that was at Green Spring with your children. I'm that little black man that was at Walbrook with your children. I'm that little black man that stepped out his comfort zone to work and fight on the behalf of your children. Because if I was fighting on the behalf of your children, then I was fighting on your behalf. So don't forget. Thank you very much.
Greet you in the greeting words of peace and paradise. Assalamu alaikum. Protocol matter, first of all. Minister Carlos Muhammad is the Baltimore representative for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I want to make sure that we are it's all right. It's all about love. But we got to set the protocol straight. And on behalf of Brother Minister Carlos Muhammad, who, those of you who know our brother probably don't even understand the magnitude of the mission that's on that brother's shoulders. It expands beyond Baltimore. But most importantly, he's a trusted servant of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Yes. And that should say enough there. So I bring you greetings, first of all, from Brother Minister Carlos Muhammad. With that being said, family, you know, I'm looking around the room, and if I was a betting man, and I'm not, no more. See, I go to prove what I'm getting ready to say. That I look around the room in all seriousness, and I see brothers and sisters who I walk with. Some in grime, and 99% in freedom, justice, and equality. And I believe it was Brother Lou that said earlier, he was talking about Baltimore, and if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere, and that particular type of thing. And I heard it best put by an elder. You know, when people talk about Baltimore and the mentality of Baltimore, and I don't want us to forget that this was the city that almost made the most honorable Elijah Muhammad turn and give up on black folk.
Well,
a lot of people don't know that story.
Yeah. Come on, Brother.
The most honorable Elijah Muhammad came to the city of Baltimore.
Come on.
And he met with us.
Good Lord.
Brought a whole new meaning to rebellious, hard-headed, stiff-necked, right? Easy to lead in the wrong direction and hard as hell to lead in the right direction.
Right.
And if God's man in our midst can come that close to giving up on us, how many times have we given up on ourselves?
Think about it.
Elder said that if you really want to understand the mentality of those of us in Baltimore, he said you got to understand when the so-called emancipation came about, when they said that the slaves were free. You know, everybody wanted to shoot up north because they heard that there was freedom up north. So when everybody started to move up north, those who remained in Baltimore got stuck because we ran out of money.
Yeah.
So you can understand the mentality of a people who wanted freedom and ran out of damn money and got stuck in Baltimore City. That's our mentality as a city, family. I said ours, so we talk about each other. And I share that because as hard as this city is, as great as this city will be. I've been blessed to do some traveling.
And if I was a betting man, and I'm not, there's not another city in the world that has more gifted, talented, and sincere people committed to freedom, justice, and equality. You can take that one to the bank. And I'm looking at talent all over the room right now. I'm looking at individuals that are gathered here in the upper room that could be running their own show in their own room anywhere, pick a spot on the map.
Go ahead, come on.
But we all up in here together.
Come on, man.
There's a reason for that. So brothers and sisters, if the reality is there's that much gift and talent in our city, there must be an equivalent of Negroism in this city. There must be an equivalent of an opposite force to keep us divided, to keep us from being united, to keep us working for pennies and working against each other. But I thought that no weapon formed against the righteous shall prosper.
Come on. Come on.
Why are we giving up?
Come on.
See, I know you talking about who me. I ain't giving up. I'm talking to every damn body up in here, including myself. There's no way in the world that we can allow 07 to come into existence without all of us being held accountable for what we can create on behalf of our people, on behalf of a true and a living God.
Come on.
So it got to be to the point where you say enough is enough. And there's a couple things we can do to put that in its right perspective. Number one, listen to, hear, and obey the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I know some of y'all got a problem with that. I'm not concerned about your problem tonight. I'm concerned about your and my solution.
Come on, make it clear.
So, if God had blessed you with the intestinal fortitude, the vision, the resources, the ability to carry this thing through, I say the same thing on your behalf. On your behalf. So in understanding that, a platform has been laid out to a people that the whole world has given up on. And we've given up on ourselves. So in understanding that, it don't mean that you got to do anything else but love yourself and be committed to a righteous cause. Number two, keep your mouth off of your brothers and your sisters. You didn't hear that? Keep your mouth off of your brothers and your sisters.
That's right.
Those of us that are in this room gathered here together, we participated in conversations with our mouth on other people's business. Other people have participated in conversations with their mouth on our business. Am I lying? That's a disease. That's a sickness. And we're tired of being sick, and we're tired of being diseased. If you ain't got nothing good to say or do with or about your brother and sister, keep your mouth shut. And if that don't work, family, maybe we need one more committee on the local organizing committee, a shut your mouth committee. Yeah, see, Doc, they weren't concerned about you dividing the black vote. They were concerned about you dividing the Negro vote.
Come on with it.
See, this division is fostered by us not leaning on the best part of what we have to offer.
Come on, Brother Locke.
And when we learn to lean on the best part of what our brother or our sister has to offer, they'll learn to lean on the best part of what we got to offer. If we understand that in principle, the theory has already been laid out. Now, I'm looking at many giants in the room right now. You should be tired of spinning your top. Anybody ever play that little game when you spin the damn top? Where does it really go? Nowhere. So if we begin to concentrate now and hear and obey God speaking through one of our own, if we begin to look at what we do have access to in Baltimore and stop depending on the beast. Stop depending on the slave master and the slave master's children.
That's right.
Oh, see, there he go with that stuff, see?
Right, come on. Come on.
No, there that stuff go with us. We're too talented. We're too gifted. So we got to start putting people in check, family. You ain't got to be no big old name or no big old title to put nobody in check. When you hear somebody put their mouth on your brother or your sister, you check them right there. Check that. That's out of love, family. Some of y'all don't understand that side of love. That's the kind of love that many of us need. And in understanding that kind of love, maybe we can produce a better Baltimore and let it be a Mecca for the world. If you prefer, let it be a Bethlehem for the world. Right? Whatever you want to see it be, what do we not have here to make it happen?
Good question. Good question.
It's all here, family.
Everything we need, brother.
Come on, brother. In closing, family, if you were not able to hear the message in its entirety on yesterday, delivered from Minister Ishmael Muhammad, get the message. Get the message. Get the message. We spend too much time, brothers and sisters, putting our mind into the enemy's ovens. I ain't talking about no Betty Crocker oven either. I'm talking about an oven you think they can bake a Jew. Look at us. We alive and baked. So in understanding that, I want to close with something that Minister Ishmael said that was so key. He talked about the purpose of the Millions More movement in birthing the potential for the kingdom of God. Birthing the potential for the kingdom of God. Every last one of us in here has had a moment in your life where you knew personally, you ain't tell nobody, but you talked to yourself about it. And you knew that there was something special about you.
Come on.
You knew when you had this conversation with yourself that your life wasn't in vain. You knew it was extraordinary. You knew that. You can act like you didn't know that, but you know you had this conversation. And it usually comes about when we're close to or near death. Many of us in this room have been close to physical death. And that thought comes to our mind, and that's why you're still here today. Many of us have been and still are mentally dead. All we got to do is put our mind in the right hands. The information is here. The inspiration is here. Most importantly, the opportunity is right here at hand. I mean, whoever thought we'd be seeing what we're looking at right now 11 years ago? Most of us didn't believe what happened 11 years ago was going to happen. We all in the same family. Whether you a Johnny come lately or Johnny been there all the time, it's all right. It's all good. But you've seen God work in your personal life. You've also seen God work in the affairs of our people. So as you see him work in your personal life, I know some of you sit back and be like, ain't no way I could have drank all that damn alcohol and still be alive. Sniffed all that damn coconut crack and smoked all of it and still be alive. Shot all that dope and still be alive, me? Right? All that miseducation and still have the guts to come up into the blacks and whites. It's our time, family. Our time. And if we do not do now what must be done, your babies and my babies will die. And those that will live will make sure that we die. If we can't come to the point now where we realize how special Baltimore is, if we can't come to the point now where we don't see the reality that no matter how much and how many Negroes have come against us, that when we're united, they can't touch us.
Right.
So no more taking the white man's dollars to sell out your brother. Let me say that again. No more taking the white man's dollars, because they coming. They coming. And they're going to ask you to do something for money. And it's going to seem like a real good idea at the time. Because they're going to hide the fact that you're sucking the blood and the life out of the movement. You should rather be poor, raggedy, naked, wretched, and out of doors before you sell your soul for a damn beast that's giving us hell for 400 years. We ain't just talking the talk, because I've been wretched, poor, and out of doors, fighting on your behalf. And if had to, would do it all again. Because in the end, the victory that's at hand, this ain't no phony pipe dream victory.
Hey, come on.
Don't you know we're the chosen people of God? It should make you say chosen to do what? So when we say long live the spirit of the million-man march, it's alive and well, and you better recognize it. When I see a brother Derek Chase with the gifts and talents that our brother has, and understand his ability, that brother, if we allow him to, would be running the entertainment industry in the city of Baltimore and be an example for the world. And I see Edwin Amos, another brother who I soldier with side by side. You don't know what you got in this room. How many of you all remember back in 89? 1989, when the government, through a program called Rex 84, Readiness Exercise 84, beat our brothers and sisters down in Virginia Beach. How many of y'all remember that?
Yes, sir. It's still alive. Still alive.
That's Virginia Beach. I ain't talking about Baltimore. That's where people go to vacation. Not Baltimore, right? Virginia Beach, laying on the beach, right? That brother right there said, well, you know what? He said, we're going to boycott Virginia Beach. And you know what? We met in a little tiny apartment, a small band of us, right? In Baltimore, talking about boycotting Virginia Beach. And we pulled it off. It got to the point where they had international news people looking for us. Remember that time, brother, they brought us on to our NBC, what's their daytime show called, whatever it is, the news show? The Today Show. We did an interview on the Today Show, live, so we thought. When we got finished, we wasn't on the show. Family, I'm just saying that there's more gift and talent in here. I heard my brother talking about real estate right here. Brother who sold me my first home, you know, and allowed me to rent an apartment when I was down, broke, raggedy, and disgusted, working on your behalf. Brother Joseph Church sitting right there. Yeah. I know we're on the time agenda, but you know, and then coming home from the white man's school, and because of Mama Lola and Papa Ross Marcus having a freedom school to come to, where they gave me a platform to work with our babies. That's a walking college right there, man. Right there. And another one of the times when I got thrown out in the street and didn't have no place to stay, and this lady right here gave me somewhere to lay my head. Oh, the struggle is real, family. All I'm trying to say, brothers and sisters, isn't it more important for us to love each other for real than to hate on each other for play? You got to commend the work that our brothers and sisters have done, because, to be honest, in terms of the local organizing committee, they've caught the brunt of the attacks. This sister and this brother right here. Everybody running and putting their mouth on everything, but all the while, They stayed the course. How do you know they stayed the course? You're here. We're here, is that right? So we say, brothers and sisters, find your place on the team.
Right. Go ahead, Brother Love.
Your place.
That's right.
Don't worry about my place.
Right.
Don't worry about nobody else's place. Now stay in your lane. Right?
That's right.
And if you got to get that license renewed, then get it renewed. But there's nothing more powerful than our unity. May you continue to send your prayers out for the healing and the help of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Pray for our brother's healing. If you didn't miss nothing yesterday, one thing you missed for sure. Those of you that think that the Nation of Islam is built upon charisma alone, you've been more blind, deaf, and dumb than you ever realized. When the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that the nation will fall before it fell, he said this. He said the nation will fall. And he said it will rise and it will never fall again. Damn it, we got a 13th string we can pull out to kick anybody's behind out here that calls themselves a so-called enemy of our people.
Go ahead.
And it all based on love.
Come on.
Love. We got to love ourselves so much that we don't allow division to enter into our ranks. So with that being said, family, with that being said, remember the gift that God has given you and I in the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. Remember the gift he's given us in the Million Man March. Sisters, can I tell you something real quick? Y'all know damn well that there were some bleak moments where you started to throw the dirt on the black man. Sorry, I ain't got to say it out loud or nothing like that. Sorry. Because, I mean, we ain't giving you too much to look at sometimes. Right? Some of you had just got to the level where your hole was 6 feet deep. And then you looked up on October 16, 1995, and you had the spirit of the woman resurrected when she saw the black man take a stand in his rightful place on this planet. Oh, you know that's the truth, some of you. Some of you sisters had a foot, and rightfully so, getting ready to put us in the grave. Time for us to be for each other, brothers and sisters. And to destroy anything or anybody that's against that. Much love for you, dear family. Get the message. Get the latest edition of the Final Call News and read it. Become a student. You're not going to find out why millions more movement in Afro. You ain't going to find it. You're not going to find it in the paper called The Sun that ain't got no damn light. You're not going to find it. You're not going to find it. So stop running. Every time a brother or sister attempts to give you a final call, we ain't trying to make you a Muslim. Quiet as it's kept, you already all that. That's a whole nother story.
Say that, brother.
Muslim is one who submits to do the will of God. And if you don't submit to do the will of God, then you're a devil. Right? I love y'all. Assalamu alaikum.
Second most, just thanking all of you for coming here because someone said you could have chose anybody, any place other to be than here, but you chose here. And we're family, and I'm glad to be here. Glad to be here with some of the people who I just hold dear in my life and my personal sojourn here in this country. To my brothers, Jabari, Sundiata, Doc Bunny, my big brother and mentor, my entire life, Brother Lyle, my other big brother, Brother Doc, my sister, and I'm also here with my wife. And one of the things that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, one of the things that Minister Farrakhan said is that when we left, we were supposed to do a few things. And we really could measure our success based upon if we submitted to those few things. Because that was a direct message. I'm definitely going to get into the book, but I just want to say this because this is from my heart. Because all of our struggles, all of our success, the movement's success is based upon the decisions we make in our individual lives. And if we ever get the opportunity, I think we all, in commemoration of the Million Man March, we should go back and look at that tape and look at that declaration that we gave and recommit that And if we all could just do that once a year, we will really have a barometer to measure how successful we really are, and we will pull off this thing that most people say cannot be done, called a Million More Movement. With that being said, I wrote a book. Actually, I didn't write the book. I was inspired to be the vessel that the book came through. It's called When Change Comes. And it's our story. The story of the Million Man March. I'm a school teacher. I taught 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade for some years. And one of the things that I knew, and Doc, I guess you would be best qualified to back me up. One of the things that we lack is our own stories in our schools. So this is our story. It's called When Change Comes, the story of the Million Man March. Old grandchildren, sit there in that chair. Listen closely as we tell you about times once here when we were not the kings and queens that we are today, but acted foolishly and selfishly and had gone astray. When the law of the land was winner take all. When your glorious heritage had inherited a fall. When your dear granddad was just a few days old and the future of the original man and woman looked like it was about to fold. I see problems were many and solutions seemed few. Mothers and fathers neglected to do the things that they were born to do. So the children ran the streets in incredible pain and lashed out at each other, many were slain. The old was too scared and the young was too bold. The street corners became markets for drugs to be sold. Brother argued with brother and sister with sister. Addiction was high, brother. Where my brother at? Brother Israel? There you go. Addiction was high and hope began to wither. And in the school place, Doc, where educators came to teach, teachers stretched and stretched and stretched and stretched and stretched, but the children, they just couldn't reach. The government seemed to be the enemy of the black man, and Congress threatened to shut down all programs. No breakfast for Amani, no heat for Aunt Sue. No assistance for Grandma, no hope for me and you. The tears of the ancestors, Baba Ross, the tears of the ancestors ran and they ran under the Atlantic and across the land. They ran up to Chicago to the heart of a man who thought and thought and came to a plan, Brother La.
Hallelujah. Come on, talk about it.
A day of atonement if a million would stand. A day of reconciliation if a million would stand. So with all his love, he confided in his friend Ben, and so began the birth of a million black men. So the word was sent out, a million man call, to the East Coast, to the West Coast, North, South Central, and all over America, if I could recall, a written, verbal, and spiritual message for the black man to stand tall. And like Doc said, I'll stop right here. Seriously. I'll stop reading this thing right here if this is a bore. But let the world hear you if you want. If you want more, y'all gotta be my audience, my kids. You gotta show them. I remember, Sister Urban, come here for a second. A Million Man March headquarters was formed in each city. Here, everyone pledged to work collectively to end self-pity. And as the black community's disunity began to come to an end, Muslims and Christians both acted as friends. Woo. Come on. The uptowners and downtowners all settled their beef, and the Million Man March spirit could be seen in the streets. The black woman and black man worked side by side to mend the wounds from when they once was divided. And this vision from Minister Farrakhan's mind, transcended the man. And no one could deny that this call was divine. That's right. And as the days grew longer, it was finally the time. Our first declared Holy Day, October 16, 1995, a day of atonement, a day to reconcile. See, all of our differences would be settled on this day. No spending money, we just fast and pray. No going to work, no going to school, no sports, no courts, no acting a fool. And the men, they came from everywhere, on buses and trains and cars on foot, in helicopters and planes, just to share the same air, be one and the same, just to be brothers again. The rich, the poor, the dark-skinned and light, the tall, the short, the dull, the bright, the fat, the skinny, the black hair and gray, all side by side. I was there. It was Atonement Day. And I heard a sister in the back say, what about the sisters? I think it was my wife. What about the sisters? Well, the sisters played one of the most important parts. See, it was because of their support that we were able to put on this march. If not for their love, effort, and skill, there would not have been a million-man march, man. The spirit would have been killed. You see, there were two roles at the core of this march's essence. A million-man march and a day of absence. What happened after the march, the kid said, the child said. Like a gigantic match, black conscience was sparked. We're building the community the job we embarked. All unified, sisters and brothers, aunties and uncles, friends and cousins, grandmas and grandpas, fathers and mothers had finally agreed that first we love self, man. And then we love others. And remember the children who ran incredible pain, who walked the streets in incredible pain, where they finally saw happiness again. For fathers acted like fathers. Mothers acted like mothers. Sisters helped sisters and brothers cared for brothers. Drugs disappeared. Unhappiness was born. Employment was high. Hope. Keep hope alive. Hope was restored. The day that we prayed for was here at last. Our glorious heritage had returned from the past. So when you run and 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 you play and you smile and you giggle and you boom and you laugh, just remember, as long as you live, although you personally may grow or you may grieve, 1 million men stood so that you can be free. I appreciate you for allowing me to read this book. Somebody asked me one time, Brother Lyle, walked up to me and said, Daddy, I heard you wrote a book. And I said to them the same thing I just said to you. Actually, I didn't write the book. I'm just a vessel. And it's clearly an inspired document. I just documented what I experienced. That's all it was. I didn't write nothing. She said, well, how's the book? How you doing with the sales? And I asked them, I said, did you buy one? And they looked at me. I said, well, you know how the sales of the books are doing. You know? And that's real. See, because we have a tendency, man, make no doubt about it. If I was a millionaire and I'm on my way, I'm not going to play with you. I'm on my way. Ain't no question. You know, I'm closer to a million than I am to what I used to have. You do the math. If you empower those people who have you in mind, Dr. Bunley, if we empower Dr. Bunley is going to put the things in place that's necessary for our success. I'm from Park Heights, man. I didn't grow up in the porch. Come on. You know, I know what I understand what that strip was. I battled top with the bottom. I'm from Park Heights and Shirley. Spent a year in Park Heights and Woodlawn. And you know what my life was in that year, because I was from Park Heights and Shirley. I understand this thing. What we got to do is we got to get behind and empower those people who will empower us, man. This is simple math. And this is not no ploy for you or any individual respectfully to buy this book, because I'm going to sell this book, whether I sell this book to you or I sell this book to anybody. I'm going to sell a book. But I ask all of you to invest in me, man. No, invest in the book. The book is yours. I give you the book. Invest in me and watch your lives transform. Invest in Dr. Bunley. Watch your lives transform. Invest in Brother Darren. Watch your lives transform. If we only back each other's vision, then we will transform this thing. It's not rocket science. We got to learn how to love each other, man. I love you. I respect you. I love all of you. I bought a few books. I have a few more. I have about 8 books here. I have thousands of books at home. I have about 100 books in the car. The book is here for your sale. And $5 of everything that you buy here is going to go to help Eartha and the cost of this event.
I tell you, I don't know about y'all, but I feel you know we have so much in so little time, but I'm going to try to fit it all in, and this is how it's going to go. Because, you know, I put that wonderful program together because, you know, I just did that. But anyway, I'm going to bring one of the key components to everything, and that's the youth. That's the key component, is the youth. I really was going to make Doug read this story to Faraji, but I didn't put him that young. But I like it because, like Chase said, if we're going to teach, we must teach, and we got the book to teach. So I'm going to have Faraji come up and do his piece. Then I'm going to open the mic. But when I open the mic up, I'm going to start with the women because we kind of been top heavy tonight with a lot of men. So I have Sister Lola, Bibi Fatima, I have Linda Muhammad. So I'm going to let some women come up first. And I hope my special guests stay, which is Evan Avent and Mark Clark. Would you stand so you can be recognized, so y'all can hold the door? In case they speak out, y'all guys hold the door. Oh, and I see another sister. Sister Ya is over there sneaking in the corner, and she's very powerful too, so we'll have something from her. Oh, is Sister Bowman? Oh, is Sister Diane? Okay, so I got some sisters here. I was just kind of feeling a little top heavy with the men thing going on. So again, I'm telling you, you're in for a treat. Brother Faraji.
Good evening. I want to thank Almighty God Allah for granting us the opportunity to be here with you. We certainly thank all of the freedom fighters from the past up to this present day. I certainly want to personally thank the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan for determining my life. I want to thank the local organizing committee just for a few minutes to ask for me to talk to you. And I certainly want to thank all of the elders for your continued hard work and the support that you have given and the inspiration you have shown me. It's always a humbling experience to stand before the people of God. And it's always a humbling experience to stand before such a distinguished group of freedom fighters and liberators, and those who are not joking with the salvation of our people. When I was thinking about, when we were talking about the Million Man March, I was there when I was 16 years old with my father and my brother. And when I was there, I saw something that even now I'm just starting to understand. That the Million Man March was really a seed.
Come on.
It was a seed that the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan put inside of me. And I felt like standing there that my destiny, my fate, my path was being revealed to me. But it was the seed simply because it was the seed to show me that this is the time. I recognize the fact that I am living in a time where God is cultivating that seed. He is calling all of us to stand up and to no longer be afraid. He is calling all of us to stand up, to do what we need to do to make the progress and to make the freedom of our people a reality. If we don't understand what time it is, let me just tell you what time it is.
Come on.
So listen up.
Come on.
The time is for us to no longer think like slaves. The time is for us to think like free men and women who have the right to life, liberty, and a pursuit of happiness. The time is for us to stand up to the injustices that continue to plague our community. The time is for us to stop being afraid, to stand up to a beast and devil of a man. This white man is a devil. You might be saying, oh boy, here he go again. But we got to show what time it really is. Because I'm not here to stand before you to tell you that I want to be a friend to that man. Because that man can't offer me nothing.
I can't be a friend to that man because that man is killing my people. He is killing my peers day in and day out. And what do I look like trying to sit at his table? Ask for a little crumb of his. When I can go and make my own bread. I'm going to show you what time it is real quick. You talk about young people. And some of us, we are so ignorant in our thinking that we don't see the greatness in young people. So we turn our backs on our own children. We turn our backs on the young people, the same generation who was made to get you out of this condition. Go ahead. Are you listening to me tonight? There's a new consciousness that is being awakening in young people. Young people today are no longer afraid. Because we are not raised to be a generation of slaves. We are not raised to be a generation that just buck dance and shiftless and lazy. See, that's the label that was been put on my generation because they don't understand who we are. So they call us a Generation X. X represents the what? The unknown. Because they don't know what the hell to do with you. And they don't know what the hell to do with my generation. So every day they're thinking and plotting and scheming of ways to take us out. Because they see that there's greatness in us. And that if we are just come in contact with that knowledge that will take us to the next level, they know that we will be a force to reckon with. But see, what has happened is now is that in our own communities, you have turned your face and turned your back away from young people. Say so. So now when you go into your neighborhood, you see the brothers on the corner. What you do? We're going to call the police. You serve us up on a silver platter to a beast that does not love us. And then you expect us to love and respect you. How can we love and respect you when you've given us death? I'm not here to blame, but I'm here to show us a part of ourselves. Because I'm a servant of youth. I'm a servant of the young. I can't continue to work and act as if the things that happen in our community is something that the white man has made. Yes, he gave us that knowledge to make us think like enemies. He gave us that, but we perpetuate that. Where is the passing of the torch in Baltimore? Say so. Say so. We stay in positions forever. I heard Congressman Elijah Cummings. I'm going to put him on blast, man. Man said I'm going to be in a congressman until the day that I die. And man, you know how hard and hurtful that was to me? So what happens now? You got a young brother or young sister that want to get up and do something for themselves and for their community. And now you're talking about you got an old person just standing there. No, young dude, you can't get this. Oh, no, you can't get that. And that's how I think it is, because we want to be so close to a beast, man, for nothing. And you really don't talk about no freedom. I heard Sister Earth on my show today, she said freedom ain't free. There's a sacrifice that needs to be made. Come on. The egos have to be sacrificed. Huh? You didn't hear me today. The egos have to be sacrificed. You gotta let that go. If there are young people in this city who are qualified and who are preparing themselves for leadership, then let them have it. Say so. But if you stand in the way and you don't give us our opportunity, and then you want to still talk about there ain't nobody coming up in the next generation. See, that's the sickness. See, you sitting there looking for Malcolm and Martin. I'm so sick and tired of that, brother. Every time I talk to some black people, they tell me there ain't no Malcolm and no Martin no more. Because they were leaders for a certain time. Come on, man. But you can't expect Malcolm and Martin to operate in a new day and a new time with a new enemy? With a new generation like us? So So why are you looking for a dead man? When you got the living man right here in front of you. You got like a Minister Farrakhan. You got young people and you got older people in this city that are standing up, but you still looking for some man up there. That's an old slave teacher. Looking for something up when the devil is kicking your ass down. Excuse my language. I'm so sick and tired of all of this division, this hatred that we have for amongst ourselves. Now, young people are waking up. I was just at an event this past Saturday with the Baltimore Algebra Project. And they just, yes, they need a warm round of applause. Because these are young people. Look at the revolutionary mind in them. They have gone and developed the Maryland Freedom Board of Education. This is an alternate board to the current school board system. Now, if some of us in our minute thinking say, well, what does the Maryland Freedom Board of Education will do? And yes, ma'am. But more than that, what it does is that's a declaration of war. Because young people are rising up to the reality that they are no longer going to accept the educational injustices that go on in this city.
Come on.
Now, they asked your brother to be on the board, and I accepted. But more than that, I saw something in that because that's the beginning of a larger movement. In the city of Baltimore, we are working to establish the Youth Empowerment Movement, which is an alliance of organizations and young leaders who are coming together to develop a plan of action for young people. See, it is sickening for us to continue to put our faith in these politicians. Not you, Dr. Butler. But it's sickening because every time I go to a meeting, somebody goes, "Oh, we got to do is petition a man. What we got to do is petition." Man, the hell with them, man. How many times do we have to die? I mean, seriously, let's just be real about this. These men and women that are in politics, that are in the school board, that are in the police department, these are the three major institutions that deal with the welfare and the health of young people in the city. The school board, city hall, and the police department. Now, we make up about 30% of the population. Those under the age, I believe, of 35 in the city of Baltimore. However, there has yet to be one or a group that has stood up to really address the interests of that particular group. Now, what we're talking about is building a movement. If you're talking about building a movement, that means that there is motion. And there can only be motion when there is a light of understanding. So what happens is that in the darkness that we are living in, there has to be a light of understanding to create a spark in the darkness so that the atom of life can be moved. Are y'all with me today? So what we need to do now is that if young people are in tune and are educated properly, then you'll start to see motion among young people. Right. You're seeing that right now. It's under the darkness. You don't talk about it that much, but it's happening. Now, it is imperative that if you're talking about young people and developing our own movement, that you support that. Can't talk about black power and all of that, and then you still ain't doing what you're supposed to do, which is to look at the next generation and create an opportunity. I had talked to an ignorant black person one time. And he said to me, well, you know, I had to pull up my bootstraps, why don't you? See, that's ignorance right there. Why are you going to subject me to the same crap that you went through? What does that look like? Is Mama Bibi telling me, Faraji, you got to go through the same thing I went through. Get yours, because I got mine. What kind of silliness is that in your thinking? Well, I had to go through this. You had to go through that because we were coming after you. So young people, I want us to understand that this is not our time to be sitting on our hands. This is not our time where we think we could just party it all away. Because the reality is that we are coming up to an enemy who is plotting and getting ready to kill us wholesale now. He's killing us wholesale through the music, through the culture. Huh? He's killing us wholesale through the drugs and through the violence, through the school system. And we can't just think, well, that ain't me, son. I ain't gonna need that. I'm straight. I'm good. No, you're not. No, you're not. So there's a new generation that is standing up. And Minister Farrakhan said it best. He said that this generation, my generation, is not the generation of hope. We're the generation of fulfillment. That's right. Fulfillment of what, Brother Minister? Well, we're fulfilling your prayers. You always called on a generation that was fearless, that was not afraid to speak truth to power. You always called on a generation that was going to do something for themselves. My generation is that generation that you called into existence. Now you can allow us to fulfill the promise and get your blessing, or you can allow us to still fulfill the promise and let God deal with you. You said that's a mighty bold statement. Look at the story of the children of Israel when Moses got them out. Moses told them, the older people, well, what? Go to hell. Go to the wilderness and let them die out, Moses, and you take the children. You could go through all of the scriptures, whether it's Bible or Holy Quran, and it will tell you that to be a true servant of God, that you must humble yourself. What the scriptures say? Humble yourself like a child. Oh, I don't think y'all hearing me tonight. You got to humble yourself and be able to come to God in a childlike manner. Meaning that you have to keep your mind open so that the script can be written for you. So that's what's happening. We are the generation of fulfillment because we're answering your prayers. We are the generation of fulfillment because we're coming at a day and time where there is a call and a need for a generation to stand up. So we're going to stand up whether you're with us or not. I'm not trying to make war with you, but I'm just telling you that you are my father, you are my mother's. You taught me to be this way, so I'm going to do just that. That's my nature. I wasn't taught, I wasn't trained, I wasn't developed to lay down on my back and let the white man kick me. I wasn't taught, I wasn't trained, I wasn't developed to ask for anything on my knees. I wasn't taught, I wasn't trained, I wasn't developed to beg nothing. We're going to take this city by storm, whether you like it or not. And if there's anybody that's going to come up and challenge the unity among young people, then I know a couple of brothers. I know a couple of sisters that wouldn't have no problem going out and dealing with you. So watch your mouth, as Brother Lau say, about the young people that you talk about. Watch your back if you get up there and start doing some crap to disturb the progress of us. We are here to serve, but we are here to stand as men and women. And I'll be damned if I'm going to let anybody come up and break the unity that is being fostered here tonight. Young people, we got a responsibility. All right. Let's be accountable. Let's support each other. Let's love one another. Let's unite. Because like Minister Farrakhan said, true unity generates power to change reality. Thank you so much.
Good evening, everyone. Okay, I want to read a poem by one of our warriors who is now an ancestor, Brother Eric Easton. If any of you in here know Eric Easton, you know his spirit is here tonight. And if he were with us, he would be here tonight. So I just thought it was appropriate because of what we're talking about and the celebration of, to give some more honor to this brother. And the poem is called Remember When. Remember when we were black and proud, it felt so good, we would say it out loud. Hey y'all, I'm black and I'm proud. Remember when you weren't afraid to understand why we wore locks and braids. Remember when the stories were told by grandpa and grandma as they grew old. Remember when learning was good, taught by our own so we understood. Remember when it was safe to play and children were children back in the day. Remember when the air was clean, water was fresh, and the grass was green. Remember when, if you had to fight, you would use your fist, not a gun or a knife? Come on. Remember when families were tight and stayed together each day and each night? Remember when we wanted peace and helped the ones who had the least? Remember when we prayed at night for God to wake us for the next day fight? Remember when, remember when, remember when.
It's very important. We're here now, and we're talking about unifying. We're talking about coming together. We're acknowledging that we are at war. Please don't leave while I'm trying to announce a Unified Die Conference. It's very important to the black community. We are talking about unifying with one another. The whole idea of the Millions More movement, the whole idea of the Million Man March is that we need to come together to organize so that we can have a strategy so that we can fight against our enemy. On October 19th to the 22nd at Sojourner Douglas College, that's 200 North Central Avenue, we're going to have a Unify or Die conference. It's a 4-day conference. The first thing we're going to deal with is black on black violence. We are all in the same situation. And when we don't come together and realize that we have a common enemy and that we need to fight that common enemy, then we are going to be in trouble. Everything that you heard tonight is true. We're going to die if we do not come together. So on the 19th of October, come out to Sojourner Douglas. It will start at 5 o'clock. We'll have an African marketplace. We need to pull our resources together. We have African businesses we can support. On that day, you'll be able to support them. Come here, people like the attorney Malik Shabazz. He's founder of the New Black Panther Party. We have Brother Ray Cook right here in Baltimore, right here in Tubman City will be there. Minister Carlos will be there. We have a lot of national and local speakers that will be there. Please come out and support this event. It's important. We're trying to unify all of our resources, all of our talents. We can't do that if we don't come together and dialogue with one another. We have to come together. This will be a time for us to come in one venue and actually get some things solved. Not just talk about it, but hold ourselves accountable for the things that we need to do in our own community. I thank you for your time.
In 1995, the whole summer of 1995, Baltimore was on fire. And I don't know, I might have been out of the room when it was said, but the women in this city worked hard, extremely hard, to make the contingent that came from Baltimore a success. I know because I was in the middle of it. I remember that was on a Monday. We sewed red, black, and green flags from Friday night to Monday morning without stopping. And at that train station, we made a white man and his entourage take a cab to go to D.C. because we told him we couldn't get on the train. They looked at us like, what? Oh, I'm sorry, sir, but there are no snow trains going to D.C. today. But the sisters made it possible for the brothers to leave that Penn Station feeling like kings because we were out there with the children. And when the brothers came back, that had given us time to go home, prepare a meal, bring it back to the brothers, and we even had the personnel in the train station queuing us up, whether it was a snow train or not. Snow train, we just sat there. But when the blizzard train came, brothers knew they had been to war. We were so glad to see them come back home that we couldn't even wait for them to get out that train station. We had the children made confettis, we had drums, we had it all. And I want to make sure that we acknowledge that, because the Million Man March was about the brothers, but it ended up being about the family. And my job on that day was to travel this city to see who wasn't in D.C. And they had to give a reason why. I accepted doctor slips. That's about it. I remember going in our pockets and saying, bro, don't tell me you don't have the $10. We got it for you. Having said that, I remember Mama Khadijah's mother was 90-something years old. And she saw the Million Man March on TV. And Mama said, oh my God, look at all them good-looking black men. And then she went on to glory. She died. But she died having seen history in the making. And one of the things that I remember, we went to Sojourner Douglas College. I'm a student there. And we saw some ladies in the lounge watching the stories. When we finished with them sisters,
Come on.
they had gone to the market and bought food, brought them babies back, and you better be watching CNN on every room with a television in this college. That's how we operated. And out of the Million Man March, there came a promise that brothers made, and I'm sorry to say a lot of you didn't keep this promise. But you promised to help the brothers and the sisters that were locked down.
Yes.
And I'm not going to stand up here and pretend that I'm happy. I'm not going to stand up here and pretend that everything went well in the last 10 years, because you know good and well it didn't. I'm evidence of truth. We have two particular brothers in the penal system in Maryland. One is Marshall Eddie Conway. That brother has been locked down for 36 years. And every time I go to a meeting, we had a candlelight vigil last week on behalf of Eddie, and also the 40th anniversary of the Black Panther Party. There were about 20 to 30 of us out there. But it's sad when we live in a city like this, and we make all of this noise, but when the rubber hits the road, we find very, very few of us. I've been communicating with Eddie for over 25 years. They used to let me go in and see him, but now Eddie's in Hagerstown. You say, why am I bringing it up? Because it's our responsibility. It's our responsibility to help that brother get a new trial, new evidence has come out, and as long as we sit back and act like we don't know who Eddie Marshall Conway is, the system will treat him like he ain't. I know you hear me. And the other brother is Walter Mandela Lomax. He's been locked down for about 30 years. And I wouldn't be standing up here defending these brothers if I had a shadow of a doubt that they had done what the police said they did. But I know in my heart that they did not. They said Eddie murdered a policeman. Eddie was working for the post office at the time. And you know about COINTELPRO, it's alive and well even today.
That's right, that's right.
Even today.
Listening right now.
That's right. Bro, man, we used to have telephones, we could owe them $1,000, and our phones would never get cut off. Because they were listening to us.
That's right.
That's true. But Walter Mandela Lomax and Eddie Marshall Conway have been locked down, but they have not let time serve them. They went in and they're in Hagerstown now, one in one building, another in another building. We talk about divide and conquer. After being in Jessup for so long and had made strides, they were in there. These brothers got degrees of the act. They're in their prison system teaching other brothers how to grow into men so that when they come home, they can come back to us. The system ain't supposed to rehabilitate, we're supposed to punish them, but we need to accept them coming back as whole people. And Eddie and Walter are in there teaching. We should be out here embracing. And I'm going to be very brief, but I like to be real. You know, people call me on the phone every Saturday getting in my case about something I've done wrong. But nobody has ever called me and said, sis, talk about Walter again. Sis, tell us about Eddie some more. And these brothers, and some others too that I can't name right now, had a newsletter. Every month, I look forward to getting that newsletter because there was always something in there I needed to understand. And I don't know how we came to think that we were so free that we could literally forget those that are locked down. We aren't free, we loose.
Right.
We aren't free because we're scared. We aren't free because, see, sister got a house and I only got an apartment, so I don't like her no more. We're not free because we're stupid.
Go ahead.
Can I say it like it needs to be said? I'm not an orator, so I'll just say it like I have to say it. Write your congressman. Go down to City Hall enough times to get on their nerves. If you have just a sign that says Walter didn't do it, Eddie didn't do it, stay in the case. And I am so proud to say that Dr. Gossett Harold Hudson, Ralph Randall, and myself, and Zinga Amon Darko, have had a prison ministry since the day we hit the airways. And we shall continue to do that because the last I heard said, when I was in prison, you didn't come to visit me. When I was in the hospital, you didn't come to see about me. But what you do for the least of these, you're done for me. You can't do anything else except go on the website and find Eddie's story, find Lomac's story, and tell it. It's the best kept secret in Baltimore right now.
Yeah.
The brothers are languishing, and we having a party. Think about it. Look in the mirror.
I want to emphasize the Unified God Conference. And as I look around the room and catch a picture, I would like to see y'all there. Again, Sister Yah's in the back because people were getting up moving around, so you may not get all the information. She has a flyer. That's a really important piece to our movement. Because again, right now we heard the message. But in order for us to put all of this stuff into work and into an infrastructure, we have to be a part of that Unified God Conference. Again, time is running late on me, but I have to bring my two special guests up. I have here Edward Vent. He was one of the men that I met again in my lifetime, before the Million Man March and after the Million Man March. I used to go to his restaurant because a lot of times we talk about we don't have this and we don't have that. A lot of times we don't even know how to keep what we had. So he did have a restaurant. It was called the Redwood Grill. Then again, he had a business, a condo business. I won't go into that kind of phase of it. But now he has a business that's so dear to me that sometimes I like themes, I like concepts. He has a magazine called Heart and Soul. It talks about being healthy, wealthy, and wise. And if you put those three things in place while we out here with this movement, we will really be able to accomplish some things. So again, I invited Edwin here because we do have solutions and opportunities in our community. And I would just like him to at least come up and say a few words.
Good evening, brothers and sisters. Once again, I'm Edwin Avent, and I just want to thank you all for staying around this long. I mean, I've enjoyed the entire evening myself. I want to thank Eartha and all the brothers and sisters of the local organizing committee who continues to bring the message to us and continues to keep this message in front of us. I mean, Eartha does a good job. If you know Eartha, you know, she's not going to let you go, and she's not going to let the mission go without getting you involved and keeping you involved. And so I thank God for Eartha. I thank God for being here. You know, to all the brothers in the struggle, the sisters in the struggle, who I've been involved with over the years. I've been blessed with the opportunity to work with you, Brother Lal Muhammad, the Brothers of Black Professional Men. Not all of them are here, but we started an organization many years ago in 1991 called Black Professional Men to deal with this issue of our young brothers who are struggling in this system. And we mentor them and we give them scholarships and we're role models to them, and I commend those brothers. And then, I always cared about the health and well-being of our brothers and sisters. So, as Eartha said, I'm now the publisher of a magazine called Heart and Soul. And Heart and Soul is the health and wellness magazine for our people. I don't want to take up a lot of time, but my main mission, and it has always been, to unify our people and using economics as the force that will help to change our community. I do believe that if we create our own jobs, we can solve some of these problems. If we build wealth, we can solve the problems for a lot of the problems that we have in this country. So I've been a business builder for many years, and I'm blessed to have this company because I want to create jobs, and I want to show other people how to create jobs. I believe that there's an opportunity for all of us to unite around creating investment groups. We can unite around buying the real estate in Baltimore. I think every single corner store in this city should be owned by us. Every gas station in this city should be owned by us. And we can do it. We have a lot of enterprising brothers and sisters in this city. Obviously, they can run some of the businesses that they do. A lot of them, unfortunately, are illegal, but they're brilliant. They're brilliant. And if you don't like the show The Wire, if you don't like it for nothing else, what it does show, it just gets some of the intricacies of how brilliant some of these brothers and sisters are running these businesses. Imagine if we took that energy and turned it into positive energy and bought up all the real estate in this city and opened up all the corner stores and create manufacturing jobs in this community. Well, that's my mission. That's what I have to contribute to the movement. I've been blessed to be able to build several businesses, and God has blessed me to be able to have some resources to continue to build more. My commitment to all of you and my community is that I will be here as a role model or as a person to give you any insight that I have on building business, on raising funds, on sales, marketing, whatever you need. My commitment is here. And so as long as I'm here, I'm going to be here. And I know if I ever slip, the earth is going to make sure that I get back here and be on point. And I thank God for that, and I thank God for her, and I thank God for all of you. So thank you very much. You all have a wonderful evening.
Thank you. Now let me put my favorite person on the spot. Faraji Muhammad, like you said, we're talking about the media, the input, the information that comes out of these radio stations that feed our community, that our children listen to, and the music. But one of the things that I know that I have experienced, sometimes we have to separate what someone do to what they are. And I met Mark Clark, and I love him. I think he's just got the heart of a teddy bear. He kind of looked like a teddy bear. And as the years went by, I've been beating him down. Every time I see him, I go at him, Because again, sometimes I try to understand the process. I try to understand how we got in the situation we are. So I'm not afraid to confront people. And I love it when he says to me, it ain't me. I mean, you can say all that you want to. I got a job, I'm a radio talk show host, I'm doing X, Y, Z. But as he said, I don't let him off the spot. I said, still, you Mark Clark. I want you to get another job. I want you to do something else. Because I see some brothers, positive brothers out communicating every day to the community that doesn't do that just because they have a job. So I brought him here tonight, not only so he could have his own words and say his own words, but I know that I'm committed to supporting him and Troy, which was his partner. And I would like to try to do whatever I can if they were ever to try to create a different venue than Radio 1 to help us communicate, to help us get out to the community what we need to get out, because they do have tremendous skill. Mark Clark.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Eartha. Eartha has the biggest heart in the world, we all know. And, I always talk, it's funny, my conversation with Eartha always end up with me saying, you can't care more for somebody than they care for themselves. You can't make people do what they don't want to do. But what I love about Eartha, again, is her commitment to the community, her commitment to Black people, her commitment as just somebody who who wants nothing in return. I work at 92Q radio station. It's interesting. It's like, I think there's a lot of people who have beef with media outlets and radio stations and things like that. You know, our company is owned by Kathy Hughes, and it's the biggest black-owned radio company in the world. And, you know, is the music negative? Yep. Is, you know, can I understand how people have a beef with it? Yep. Can I understand how, as a parent, you wouldn't want your child to listen to the music? Yep. Or the conversations? I sure would. But I will say, as somebody who's been a professional for almost 20 years, I've always on the radio explained to the listeners, if you have an issue with the media, how to deal with the media. And to be honest, I'm surprised by our leadership, because we talk about radio stations and television stations. If there's something you don't like or something you do like, if you write a letter, they're required to put it in their public file. And if you go into the radio station and ask to see a public file that's not there, you have an issue, you can petition the FCC, and that could jeopardize the radio station or television station getting their license. And what I'm amazed by the 20 years of doing radio is that Jesse Jackson, Kwame Nkrumah, all our leadership, they never say that. When you talk about something on television or radio, it's a very easy thing. If 500 people wrote letters, and we went in and demanded to see the letters, and they're not there, we can shut it down. But, so I'm here as a community activist and somebody who actually works in the profession to say, if you ever need any advice on how to deal with the media, I'm here for you. As Eartha knows, and the people who take time to know who I am and not just judge what I do, I'm somebody who's a straight shooter. I'm somebody who cares about the community. I'm disappointed our show, Big Fat Morning Show, which was me, Troy, and Marva originally. What we had that was special for Baltimore was a show that had three people who, at the end of the day, when we talk about your legacy, our legacy was to hopefully change and make better our community. And we as three people went to the schools or went to any place, and you heard us, you could pick any three of us, and we talked to the kids or talked to whoever, and we all understood the importance of us making a difference in our community. Now, there's been some changes again that I can't control, but I still pledge to do that same thing in Baltimore with our show. Now, when it comes to music and other aspects, you guys have to deal with our program director for that. But I wanted to reflect on the Million Man March. Million Man March for me was very special because I was in the Midwest 11 years ago. And it was like, I'm from a small town, Springfield, Illinois, where, you know, when you're from a big city where a whole bunch of black folks, you think that it's like this all around the country. It's not. In Springfield, black population, the total population is about 100,000, black population is about 11%. So as a human being, every place that I work where there's a lot of black folks, I've always been excited and encouraged and excited about the possibilities. So the Million Man March for me was an opportunity to be with my people and be a part of a historic day. And also, as we spoke about our ancestors, my grandfather, who was a printer and also a historian and also at a trade school in a small town that had a small black population, he was the kind who followed history. And the Million Man March for me was special because I knew my grandfather was in heaven looking at this event and marveling at the power of this event. And you know, with the Million More movement, I was allowed to take my wife and take my 3 kids. And I just wanted to witness that day because I remembered 11 years before when I was there by myself. And I always feel the power of that day. So it always will have a special part for me. And before I go, I just want to say, I'm so proud of Dr. Bunley. Dr. Bunley, I was sitting there, and brother, you made a good point. You said, we've all had a moment in our life when we realized our special gift. And I know with Dr. Bunley, I'm not going to take credit for anything, but I know Dr. Bunley, when he first ran, he was being a politician. I thought he was concerned about what it is to be a politician. And I told him we don't have to be concerned about that, because he's a leader. You look at this man, he's a leader. Leadership is what he brings to the table. You know, you don't have to know politics. People follow you. People are inspired by you. And I think there's no question when you look at him and the other quote-unquote politicians, there's no question on who should be our leader. So Dr. Bunley, I'm going to do whatever I can to help you. One thing about when your job is up, you know, when they let Troy go, they gave me the contract and said, you got 72 hours to sign this contract, non-negotiable, or you're fired too. That has a way of waking you up about the possibilities. And what I've decided to do is to just be more committed to all those things I've always wanted to do and, couldn't quite make enough time. So, Dr. Butler, you'll be one of the things that I definitely want to do. And again, Eartha, thank you so much. I love you. Keep up the good work. And everybody involved in the movement, keep up the good work. I love you, and everybody be safe tonight. Thank you.
Wow, like I said, it's just not enough time, but I'm going to go ahead and make New Andrews mad at me because I still have two more important people in my life to bring up. Sister Balma and Bibi Fatima. Sister Balma, you have to come up because, again, I cannot just let you not be recognized, not let you be known for all the hard work you have done.
Assalamu alaikum. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I am so thankful to be here tonight to give praise and honor and thanks for the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and for the great Minister Louis Farrakhan, through whom the Million Man March came. And it's so special to me, brothers and sisters, because I was there, I helped to organize it, and I saw so many beautiful black people working together. And it was like heaven even before that day. I was already in heaven because people were constantly being positive and productive and resourceful and industrious. And we pulled upon all of those wonderful things that we had let lie dormant within us, that we had forgotten about. The goodness, the honesty, the kindness. Because as we all know, brothers and sisters, Willie Lynch did a good job on us. And we need to purge Willie Lynch from us. And all of the people that spoke tonight have really inspired me. Brother Lala, I really am happy to have you as my brother. I'm happy to have Brother Faraji, Sister Zebe, and the nation with me because we are fighting together. And I love Sister Eartha. She's in the nation too. That's right. Sister Eartha is an MGT in disguise. I have absolutely no problem communicating with her because she communicates on principles of truth that I believe. And I'm thankful that Allah allowed me to meet such a great woman because I will be able to tell my great-grandchildren about this great woman and about all of you. And I'm happy that you're here, and I love all of you because you're committed. Brother D. Chase, you are a genius. And I'm making a commitment to you right now because I see what you're being used to do. And I'm a sales and marketing specialist, brother. I need to talk to you. And I thank Allah for my gifts, and all my gifts are for my people. So brothers and sisters, can we come together and connect all of our gifts and talents? Can we free our people one mind at a time? I think a lot of people got liberated right here in this room. This is an incubator for creating truth and resurrection, and we're all becoming resurrection technologists. So if someone asks you what your profession is, you're a resurrection technologist. So thank you, brothers and sisters, for being here. I'm not going to take a lot of your time, but I'm happy to be here. I'm glad to know all of you. But we have to move forward, and tomorrow we have to be doing the same kind of thing. You know, when we leave here, whatever we learn from this gathering, pass it on. And be found working for liberation. Talk to people. Enlighten people. When you see young people out of order, call them to account. I do it all the time. I step to the dope dealers and like, is she crazy? No, I'm not afraid. Because you are my child out there selling drugs, and why are you doing it? I asked a drug dealer that one day, and he thought I was out of my mind. I said, why'd you sell her that dope? Don't you know how to kill her? And I told him about the mosque. I asked him if he would go with me. And I said, if you do not go with me, I'm going to buy you a dress because you're not a man. I'm not scared. We can't be afraid of our children. So brothers and sisters, I'm going to leave you with that. And I'm leaving you as I came before you. Assalamu alaikum.
How's everybody? You know, whenever I come and I want to sing, I never know what I'm going to sing. So I'm going to dedicate this to a freedom fighter who left us about 3 years ago. She wrote this song, and it's called Black Is. And I think it's appropriate that we hear it and be to Swatu. Yeah. Black is me, and that's what I'll always be. Black is me, and one day we'll be free. Black is my mind, and it took time for me to find that black is we, and one day we'll be free. Now I'm a black woman, and I need you, strong black man. Together we will fight and free this land, and we will strive and survive. No, we won't die, 'cause black is we, and one day we'll be free. For we will fight and fight, fight to free them, and we will strive and survive. Because we're black, they're trying to hold us back. Well, black is we, and one day we'll be free. We will not be slaves anymore. No more, no more, no more. We'd rather die and be buried in our graves. Because we're black, they try to hold us back. Well, black is we. One day we'll be free. We will not be slaves rather die and be buried in our graves. Because we're black, because we're black, they try to hold us back. Well, black is we. And one day with truth, and one day in love, and one day in peace, and one day in understanding, and one day in unity, we are free. Free the land, Africa.
Come forward, embrace the youth, and be there for them. I want to ask you to get quiet. Just close your eyes for a moment. And just take a deep breath, understanding that that breath is the thing that allows you to be alive. That given to you by the Most High. And all that we've been witnessed and been exposed here this evening, just let it sit there. Don't say anything, and just let it listen. And let it go. We don't call this a closing. I like to think of this as a recess. What we've been exposed to tonight, great enthusiasm, seeing the youth and all the young men of the nation step forward. Let us be proud and thankful. There's an in greeting that we've used in our rights. Many of you know it. And it's just something you can just repeat after me. If it is to be, it's up to we. It's up to we. I feel good about myself. I feel good about myself. I feel good about all the brothers and sisters around me. I feel good about all the brothers and sisters around me. I feel goodness all around me. I feel goodness all around me. And it will follow me for the rest of my life. And it will follow me for the rest of my life. So I walk with good. I walk with good. And I talk with good. And I talk with good. It feels real good. It feels real good. And I am good. And I am good. Good, better, best. Good, better, best. Never let it rest. Never let it rest. Till our good is our better. Till our good is our better. And our better is our best. And our better is our best. My people. My people. We were once great. We were once great. We once knew we were great. We once knew we were great. And we shall be great again. And we shall be great again. Lose not faith. Lose not faith. Lose not courage. Lose not courage. Go forward. Go forward. Uplift the race. Uplift the race. Around big. Just turn to each other and hug. They go home safe. And I love and respect you.